What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of On Everything. And I'm your host, Floyd. And this is a show where it's been kind of I have a fear that it just goes off the rails, right? That anybody who's listening, I noticed that I do have some very loyal listeners. Every time I check the stats, it's not as high as I want it to be. Obviously, we're going to get there. But it's so locked in steady, man. Like every episode is hitting like the same number, which is a surprisingly high number, given how much consistency this show has lacked in far as me putting out content. But it's very flat. So every time it's the same number of listeners, same number. So first of all, I just want to thank y'all. Big shout out to y'all for checking back in with me. I appreciate it. I do know that through my life, through my journey, man, I have such a unique story, right? I may not be always right on everything, but I have a very unique perspective, and I know where my strengths are, and I try to lean into them. And that's what we do right here. So let's go do it again, man. I was driving from Chick-fil-A this morning. Shout out Chick-fil-A, man. I got this thing about, I'm not big into coffee, right? For me, coffee has to be, gotta spritz it up with too many things for it to even be good. But Chick-fil-A has that frosted coffee. And I know, coffee drinkers out there are probably like, man, you a sucker, right? But no, I mean, that's what I dig. I know it's probably, it's just like a slushy ice or whatever mixed with probably about half a cup of of coffee, but it's what I like. So I was headed to Chick-fil-A, dropped my kids off at Ninja Camp, and was headed back, and it was dawned on me, man. I'm sitting here still thinking about this Super Bowl halftime performance by K-Dot, right? Kendrick Lamar did his thing at the Super Bowl, and it's just so many back and forth and back and forth. And I'm going to give my take on it. But I also have a second take that I was really pressing on me. But I know I can't bring up the Super Bowl without giving my opinion. For one, I thought it was a good performance. I thought Kendrick did his Kendrick thing. I'm not real big into the Kendrick versus Drake. Oh my God, kill him, do it. Drake. I feel like there's a lot of mind control, and you can check back to my Trading Places episode to see how I really feel. I feel like, yeah, Kendrick is great, but the way that the masses have been swayed to idolize Kendrick and demonize Drake, it's artificial to me, right? It's artificial. I don't know all the details of the evidence that Drake is bringing in his lawsuit, but I have been in the music industry long enough to know how corrupt it is and to know, and I work in data and I understand algorithms, and I know how much you can influence based on what you suppress versus what you promote. So for me, I don't really get into that whole, oh my God, I want Drake to get slammed even worse. And, Kendrick is being petty and look at these Easter eggs, and I don't get into all of that. That's not really my thing, man. I'm old school, man. I'm old school battle rap, man. I'm not into the Easter eggs, man. Just say what you're gonna say, right? Like I know people were like, oh, he looked right at the camera, and when he said Drake's name, well, look, you wrote a song saying Drake's name. There is no other way to say that line. You better look right in the camera. That's my opinion. So overall, man, I thought it was a good performance. I thought Kendrick did Kendrick. I thought my view of Kendrick is always that he is a little bit like Prince, whereas Drake is more Michael Jackson. I feel like, Prince did his thing at the Super Bowl after he was already established and got like enough, he could rock a whole stadium like that, right? And not just a stadium, but you got the world watching, and you need to make sure that, the show is universal enough. You don't have to water it down, but that it's universal enough. And I kind of felt like Kendrick did Kendrick, which a lot of people might find boring. I'm one of those that finds it a little boring, Some people might find it offensive. There's a lot of people out there that don't like the pro-black thing, and they're like, I don't want any of that, whatever to that. But for me, man, listen, I've been listening to so much pro-black music propaganda since I was in high school. I mean, this is what I got raised on. Like, I know not everybody has that experience, right? But I mean, Ice Cube, Dead Prez, X-Clan, Poor Righteous Teachers, KRS-One. I mean, for me, hearing somebody teach and educate in pro-black, like unashamed pro-black ways is nothing new. Like, it's super old. It's so old that I miss it. Like, they don't even do it anymore, right? So for me, I dig what Kendrick, the angle that he's going at, but for me, it's a little bit passive aggressive, right? Like, you gotta read the signs and translate and find the Easter egg, and you never have Kendrick explaining it. It's always his fans explaining it, and that's cool. I know that that's what the new generation is on, and watching everybody argue about it, nobody's allowed to have dissenting opinions anymore. I was just thinking, I was like, what drives this kind of thing? And one of the things that stood out to me was humans are tribal, right? We've always been tribal. That's in our nature from day one, right? We split up and we go in two different directions. And then we find animosity about those two different directions, right? Like Adam and Eve created in the garden. If you believe in that, right? I don't want to start pressing like everybody believes that, but Adam and Eve are created in the garden, and immediately they have children, and two of their sons go at it, right? And one gets killed. So tribalism is just, and even if you don't believe in that story, you understand that you probably understand or think that story is created for a reason. And that is to exemplify the tribalism of man. So yeah, we've been like this forever. Humans are tribal. I think the thing that I think is so interesting now, and it's so hard to get a handle on for all of us, tribalism has required, I don't even know about it required, it has always included physical proximity, right? You always had your tribe right next to you, right? Even, I don't care what age it was throughout human history, you could go back to your tribe and huddle up together and face any challenge together. And I believe right now, specifically, probably right after the year 2000, right? Like maybe post 9/11, you get firmly into the internet age, right? Like whatever that, phase of that, right? Like, so there was many phases of us growing into where we are right now. Tribes don't exist with physical proximity anymore. So our human brain, our animal brain is still like, I need my tribe. When things are not going the way I want, when there's opposition to me or what I think, I want the comfort of my tribe around me so that we can huddle together and respond. And it doesn't exist physically, right? Like when I was younger in the 80s, in the neighborhoods I lived in Cleveland, if we lived on 79th and Superior or 89th and Buckeye, you go about life and Ronald Reagan passes some law, or you watch the news and you see Ali North and the Iran Contras, and your parents come in and explain stuff to you, and next thing you know, you all go to the barbershop or the beauty shop or the grocery store, and you just go out on the street and everybody's talking. We are collectively finding our response. You might even walk to the corner store to get some candy and cigarettes or play the number, and you hear the wino outside the store saying some of the wisest stuff you ever heard, intermingled with some of the craziest stuff you ever heard, right? So that thing that was happening that I'm used to in the 80s and even maybe in the 90s um, was physical proximity tribalism, us coming together to say, yeah, this is not good. Let's dissect this and see how we feel we should respond. Nowadays, that response has to happen through social media. And there's a lot of different chosen social media platforms. There's a lot of different places where people might settle or rest at. Generations become a big problem. Back in the physical proximity days, the parents could grab their kids, tell them to put the Nintendo or Atari joystick down. We got to talk. And everybody's in. It was an adult's world. Everybody had to huddle up if the adult said huddle up. Now, the kids are in a different social media platform than the adults. The adults are bouncing around Facebook. The adults are on X. The kids are in TikTok or wherever they might be, right? There's difficulty finding collective tribes. So now, in order to work out your response, you face newer hurdles where generational gaps become even bigger, right? I know there was generational gaps in our tribalism response in the past, right? Specifically, if you look at something as big as like the Vietnam War response, right? That was, every community was finding their response to that. And there was generational gaps there. But I think now you just have this hurdle of generations. Then you have this mixing. It's not so much, hey, typically if you are tribal with the people you live around, then people look like you, they think like you, they have common upbringing as you. And now you have more of the shuffling of the deck. You just might be in a certain tribe on your lunch break talking about politics and be in a whole nother tribe at 5 o'clock when you get off work and you start talking on Facebook with your friends, or you go on a neighborhood website. It's different tribes for different concerns. And not everybody looks like you. Not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody has that concern for the same reason. Not everybody is upset about the removal of DEI for the same reasons. Not everybody is anti-Donald Trump for the same reasons. And it becomes a interesting landscape to navigate. So again, this is Jay Floyd on everything. Hit up any of my pages and tell me what you think. I hope this can spark some thought for you. I hope this, in any way, I think that we have to find a way to a better resolution for unity. I think it's hard to get to unity if you can't satisfy and overcome our most basic need, which is tribalism, or this most basic desire. It's tough to overcome that because it doesn't really the itch doesn't get scratched good. So people end up spending a lot of time there. And I think it kind of becomes a hurdle to us getting where we need to go. So yeah, give me some thoughts, man. That's just what I was thinking today. It's Jay Floyd on everything. I love y'all. Peace. Ready to revolutionize your content creation? Discover Deep Brain AI, the cutting-edge solution in AI video synthesis. Create lifelike AI videos with ease, ideal for presentations, educational content, or just boosting your digital marketing. Your AI avatar waits to deliver messages with natural expressions and natural voices. It'll be just like hearing and seeing you and me. Experience the future of communication with Deep Brain AI. Discover more right now at what'sgood.work and click on our link that says visit our sponsor.